Welcome to On Ice, the show about the show. Today, we're talking about Lost Season 4, Episodes 7 and 8. I'm Will. Also here is Ben, and you can watch full video episodes of the podcast on YouTube. Ben and I also release a bonus hangout show every week that can be found at patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Here we are, episodes 7 and 8 of season 4. Ben, what'd you think?
They're pretty good. They're not as good as past weeks, but it's pretty good. Um, yeah, I had okay. I'm gonna immediately take us in a slightly different direction. I found a parallel this week between myself and the characters on Lost, and because I had this thought: have they been changing their clothes? And
Yeah.
there's a parallel to myself because, I started thinking, do I wear, like, the same 2 shirts every single time we do this podcast? That's a lot it's a lot. It doesn't really matter when it was a podcast, but now that you do the video thing, I'm a little self-conscious about that. I looked at some of the videos that, you've posted online and realized I'm doing it again. I think I wear, like, I've been wearing the same sweater at least all winter for the most part, so
Yeah,
kinda
there's either
self-conscious about
that
that.
or your like blue shirt, like your
Yeah.
blue overshirt.
I do
I see
wear
that.
other clothes during the week. I guess this is just what my go-to has become
Your weekend?
on Sundays, yeah, for the weekend. But do you know, do the
Hmm.
people in Lost, have they been changing
Oh
clothes?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Kinda I mean, it makes sense because they found some luggage and stuff like that, but,
They're
uh,
really pushing it.
yeah.
I mean, like, I think that you occasionally see them like, "Oh, I think this is your size," kinda thing, handing it out, but, like, yeah, it's everyone has a pretty full wardrobe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And
Okay.
I've gotten self-conscious of myself too, like, now that we do the video, I gotta make sure that I'm, um, not wearing the same thing every week, which I have this. I really do just kinda wear the same 5 shirts over and over and over again, so I've been
Sure.
doing my best to show different 5. Uh,
Five's not bad, because then it's cycling, right? If you do 5
yeah.
days and then 5 days, then on the 7th day, which is when we do the recording, it'll cycle week
Don't tell
after
God.
week for a long
Yeah. I also changed up my background for a little bit. I was in the jungle, but now
Now
I'm
you're in
no
a
longer in
room.
the jungle because like, I wanted to be able to wear green or blue shirts because I always had, like, the green or blue screen behind me.
Oh, sure.
Uh,
I thought it aligns with, our characters, have entered house the house seasons,
House era.
the
They're
house
in their
era.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that could be. Yeah. Yeah, let's say it's, definitely intentional in that way. But welcome to everybody who's tuning in for the first time. I think that we got some new viewers in last week because of the episode that we covered. I assume, not just because we did such a good job of it, but yeah, we covered The Constant last week, and that's kind of, the most famous episode of Lost, or, seems to be one of them. And I gotta say, I'm kind of in a bit of a hangover from that. Like, yeah, with these next 2 episodes that we've seen, or the 3 episodes that we've watched since then, it's kind of been, that was a really good episode there. I mean, it's still a good season. It's still a really solid
Yeah.
season. Um, it just, like, they just did such a good job with that one episode.
Yeah.
I just kinda miss it.
I'm not saying that the show has peaked, but it might have.
That's good to hear. That's good. Oh, it might have.
I'm not saying anything, but it'd be hard to you can only peak once, you know? You can
It's
only peak
true.
once. You know it. You
Best
peaked
not to
in
ruminate on that too
8th
much.
8th grade.
8th grade
You
was
were
really
the you
big
were
for
the
me.
coolest guy in 8th grade. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of 8th grade, should we talk about what's going on in 2008? That's when I was in
Sure.
8th grade.
Sure.
Season 4, episode 7 was coming out. This aired on March 13th, 2008. It was entitled Yeon, directed by Steven Semel, or Semel, written by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. This is the funniest production note that I think I've come across here. And I don't know if you know about this, but okay, so several days before shooting this episode, Daniel Day Kim was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. You aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. And when fans heard about this, they immediately started worrying because this happened to Michelle Rodriguez and Cynthia Watros as well. So obviously Ana Lucia and Libby, and then both of their characters were killed off
Wow.
in one fell swoop. And then it happened to Adewale Akinwumi Agbaje. He was arrested for a traffic violation and accused of disobeying a police officer and driving without a license. The charges were dropped, but then they killed his character off.
Wow. No, did not know that. That's
Isn't that weird?
they're on a tight ship. They're on a tight ship on Lost. Nobody's gonna be canceled
Is this
on
just
J.J. Abrams' watch.
Is that just a crazy coincidence, or is it like they're running like a puritanical like program over there? Like no one interferes with this. That's just weird.
How do they got the other guys got arrested for traffic violations though?
Only Adewale Agbaje was arrested for the traffic violation.
How do you
The
get
other
arrested
3
for
were all DUIs.
How do you get arrested for a traffic violation though?
Well,
Isn't that like isn't that
maybe like ran a stoplight or something. I mean,
stoplight? Do they arrest you
listen,
for
don't
that?
make me be like, well, obviously this guy was breaking the law, so the cops pulled him over. I'm not taking the cops side or any, but I don't know. Maybe he ran a stoplight and they pulled him over, and then like he was driving without a license, so they arrested him. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Interesting.
Interesting.
But Michelle Rodriguez and Cynthia Watros and Daniel Day Kim all DUIs in
That
Hawaii.
is crazy. Yeah. They were a little too high on the success of Lost at the time.
I wonder.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
drink.
it makes you wonder what the I don't know, like what life was like if you're like all on Hawaii. Like it's probably nice to hang out in Hawaii, especially if you're on like a successful TV program. But maybe it's a little isolated with extended time there, not doing much. You just start getting drunk and driving around the island.
Yeah.
This is what's going on.
This show is awesome. I just got my paycheck. I'm gonna drink 2 Bud Lights and drive across Oahu or wherever they
Yeah.
are.
So yeah, Daniel Day Kim gets arrested for a DUI, and then everyone's like, "Uh-oh, Damon's gonna kill him." And then at the end of this episode, he's dead. So
Yeah.
presumably,
Interesting.
there's still a lot more of him left in the show, but
Now they're disappearing him. You know, yeah.
if
They're
this is
big
the
time
last that we've
disappearing
seen him, that's so crazy. All right, let's actually talk about the events of the episode. So we have some flashbacks / flash forwards. It's kind of the reverse of Through the Looking Glass, right? Where we thought that the flashbacks, or we thought that the flash forward was a flashback, and then this one, it's a little bit more obvious what's going on here, but it's a flash back that is presented as a flash forward, or not presented as, but
There are 2
you might read it as. There's parallel flashes going on. One's a flash
Yes.
forward, one's a flashback with Sun and Jin.
And you assume that they're happening at the you might assume
the
that
same
they're
time.
happening at the same
Yeah.
time. Yes.
Yeah. So the episode's off-island storyline seemingly depicts Jin rushing to the hospital while Sun, who has become one of the Oceanic Six, goes into labor. So, yeah, we find out that Sun is the Oceanic Six. She goes into sixth. She goes into labor in her hotel room ass apartment and calls an ambulance on a smartphone and turns off the TV. It's an episode of Expose. We see Nikki, and that's the Korean dub of that.
Mhm.
And she gets rushed to the hospital. They put her in a wheelchair. She's in distress, and they're like, oh, they're talking to the doctors and nurses are talking to each other, and they're saying, oh, she's one of the Oceanic Six. And
Yeah, like Loanword style. Everybody's speaking Korean, and then you just hear Oceanic Six in the middle.
yeah. And she's calling out for Jin. She's like, where's Jin? I want to wait for Jin. The doctor asks if, they want to call her husband, and she's like, yeah, I can get Jin. Jin's journey to the hospital, though, is marred by several unfortunate incidents, including difficulty in purchasing a stuffed panda and his cell phone being broken. He's getting calls on his flip phone. That's about presumably a birth happening of some sort, and he's trying to get there. He stops into this toy shop and he's like, "Give me a panda," and they find him one and all that. And then someone steals. He puts the panda in a cab, and then someone steals his cab and then drives off like that.
Big time TV show, movie style situation. Somebody driving off with your cab after you
Yeah,
put a very obvious object. Like the guy just
yeah,
sits in the cab next to a panda.
yeah.
A huge, larger than life size panda, to be
No,
very clear.
much smaller than life-size panda.
Panda?
Our
Oh yeah, actually they
pandas
are
are
big.
bears, dude.
They are big, right? I
Yeah,
always think of
you're
them
thinking about
as
koalas.
small. Yeah, I think of them as like koalas. Yeah.
No, the pandas are bear
Okay, so
size.
it's maybe like half size panda.
It's smaller than that. Adult panda
It's half of a small
size.
life size panda.
Males are larger than females, weighing up to 250 pounds. Okay, they are smaller than I thought,
Mhm.
but that's big. Giant pandas stand between 2 and 3 feet tall at the shoulder on all four legs and reach up to 4 to 6 feet long,
This was
weighing up
like
to
a
250 pounds.
I'm gonna say that this was a 3.5 by 3 foot by 3 foot panda.
It's probably in that range, yeah.
It's half. I
So,
think half is a good guess. Maybe smaller
yeah.
than half.
Weight-wise, though,
Very
it's
light.
significantly less than half. I'm kind
You're
of more of a weight guy, the way I judge things.
100-pound panda, stuffed panda
Yeah.
birth gift.
Crammed filled with sand, I guess. If you do that, that'd be really awkward gift. The cab takes off with the panda inside. Jin is furious. He the car runs over his phone, whatever. He is so pissed. And we're like, oh great, Jin's back on his bullshit. His kind of emotional arc was that he used to be this crazy angry guy, but now he's chill. But apparently, no, he's back to being crazy angry here in the future. He goes back into the toy store and he's like, "All right, give me another panda." And they're like, "That I just sold you the last panda." He's like, "Well, about that panda behind you, and that's reserved for another customer." And he puts down what could be anywhere between $5 and
He puts down
$2,000.
like 5, I don't even know. Maybe like $100,000, 100,000 won or something like that. Yes, which we all know the exchange
Seems
rate
to be
today
enough
today and at the time
at the time. The wand was very strong at the time, or wasn't.
wasn't. Actually, I know what the exchange rate is today, but I couldn't say in 2008 or 1990-ish, 8,
What's the exchange
1998-ish.
rate today, Ben?
It's a couple thousand to 1.
Is it
I think so. Actually, I do think so.
okay? But whatever, we get the idea that this is enough to buy the bear, and he's gonna sacrifice that toy store owner is gonna sacrifice his reputation a little bit for it. I guess we do get another hint at the time period that this flash is happening because he says, like, oh, you could get this dragon instead because it's the year of the dragon. Babies born in the year of the dragon bring good luck, and so if you got your mind on which years are dragon years, you could maybe know, like, ooh, this isn't 2004 or 2005. Do you know what 2004, the zodiac sign, animal,
No.
year of 2004? Can you pull 2004, 2005?
No. But I guarantee
All right.
you Shelly could, because she's told me, she's good at it, because then you can politely guess what people's ages are based off of it. If you just ask
Oh,
somebody what their age is, or
uh-huh.
what their animal is, and then
hmm
you're like, you're not 50, so you must be 12.
Of course, I love that. Like Shelley's route into it is for being sneaky information gathering. That is,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's classic Shelley. All right, it's 2004. 2004 is monkey, and 2005 is rooster.
Well, we're dragon. What year was that?
2001, I think.
Okay.
Snake, actually. 2000. Well, because I don't need. Do I
It's
need to explain this to you? But it overlaps 2000. It overlaps
Yeah, I know.
the other calendar, right?
Yes, yes, I understand.
2000 was dragon.
Sure. It's
Yeah,
snake right now, for anybody who doesn't know. That's all I can remember.
it's snake right now. Looking at. Yeah, it's snake out there. Yeah.
It's snake.
But yeah, all right. Let's see. So he does get to the hospital there, but let's see. Okay, Sun gives birth to a girl who she names Yeon, the name chosen by Jin on the island. The final off-island scenes establish that Jin and Sun's stories are separate. Jin's story is set in the past, 2 months into his marriage to Sun. He was rushing to the birth of a Chinese ambassador's grandson to deliver the panda as a gift on behalf of his employer, which is Sun's father. In the final flash forward, Sun and her daughter are visited by Hurley, who takes her to pay her respects to Jin. His tombstone indicates that he died the day of the crash in Oceanic 815. Obviously he didn't, but that's what his tombstone said. So let's do a count of the Oceanics, right? So we've got Jack, we've got Kate, we've got Saeed, we've got Hurley, we've got Sun, and Aaron, and Jiyeon, and Ben. Some of these aren't counting. Well, let's not count Ben. Let's not count Ben. We're back down to 7.
Well, we
Let's
wouldn't
not count.
babies.
Let's not count the babies. Neither of the babies.
I wouldn't
That's
count. I
5.
definitely wouldn't count the latest baby.
But why would you count Aaron?
I wouldn't either.
Okay, so we're at the Oceanic 5. So we're gonna Ben. Apparently, that is the Oceanic 6. We're not waiting on anybody else though.
Which ones?
Aaron, not
Okay.
not Jiyeon.
Okay.
Apparently, Aaron does count,
He didn't have a
which
ticket.
I've got a problem with.
He didn't have a ticket. Yeah. Didn't have
Yeah,
a problem. If if I was a
I'm
lawyer,
pissed.
if I was a lawyer for Oceanic Airlines or whatever, I'd be. Let's be honest. I'd be working my ass off to make sure that nobody got a payout at all, because I'm a
Obviously.
lawyer. I'm a lawyer for the
Mhm.
airline, but I'd definitely be saying that kid didn't even have a ticket. Not responsible
Yeah,
for him. Wasn't born.
yeah. We were just watching Bridge of Spies, and Tom Hanks is explaining, like when uh my client crashed into your client's one thing happened. He didn't cause 5 accidents. He caused 1 accident. So there should only be 1 payout, even though he hit 5 people. Yeah, 1 plane went down. Sure, there were 324 people on there, but yeah, it's just 1. Strike 1. Okay? I don't like that Aaron
Oceanic
counts
6.
as an Oceanic,
Yeah.
and uh I guess we're getting loosey goosey with it because Aaron counts, Yeon doesn't, and Ben doesn't count.
Yeah. Why would you call them the 6 though? I mean, there's probably a good reason, but still. You don't say I mean, it'd be crazy if it was the other way around. What if it was the United 93, you know? But like you do the airline number. You know, you don't do the count of people.
Sure.
You do the
You didn't think
number
we
of the
could do it
plane. You do
this
the
week,
tail
did you,
number.
listeners? Here we are.
Always a connection.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess those are the 6. Whatever. I guess I'm just worked up over nothing. On the island, Sun becomes increasingly worried and suspicious about the intentions of the Kahana crew. Despite Juliet's warning to Sun that women who conceive on the island die during their second trimester, Sun arranges to defect with Jin to the rival faction led by John Locke, who does not want to leave the island. She's rooting around in the meds, and Juliet catches her. She's looking for those prenatal vitamins. And yeah, Juliet's like, no, you can't do that. You can't be going there.
Yeah. Sun, very bad liar, you know? I mean, you've been talking about this recently. Everybody on the island is quite bad, at least in our eyes, at like any
At the
kind of
bargaining table.
negotiation.
Yeah.
Yes. She's kind of bad in a similar way at lying, where she's just like, I forget what she's just like, I lost it. And then Juliet's like, what happened to the other ones? And she's just like, ah, fuck, just give them to me.
I'm leaving. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. I don't mind that too much. I think it's uh I don't know. Like I don't really have too much patience for like coming up with a cover story pretty quick. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to Lock. Give me the vitamins.
Sure. If it was me, though, I'd be lying. I'd be embarrassing myself with how long I would carry on the lie. Everybody like, we know you're
Bro,
lying.
it's
And I'd be
okay.
like,
Yeah.
no, I lost them. I lost them.
Yeah. I'm just hungry for
Okay.
vitamins.
I will apologize for lying because that's the only thing you're going to do to give me the things. But I didn't really lie.
Dragging it out very long, yes. But Julia tries to stop Sun by leaving, and she gets increasingly desperate in doing this, eventually getting the point to where she tells Jin that Sun had an affair.
Yes. To surprising effect, I gotta say. That would not have crossed my mind. Juliet's like, I had to do anything possible to stop you. And in my mind, like, it's not very clear that just saying Jin, Sun had an affair and she thought the baby was somebody else's and it might be somebody else's. I would not have had the, you know, 3D chess mindset of Juliet to realize that would kind of stop the halt the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like I get for the point that like maybe she's just throwing anything at there. She doesn't know that that would work, but just like, here's a big enough shock that maybe it does something. But yeah, he does angrily back out of the journey at the last minute. I think this was a shitty move by Juliet. I was not particularly happy with her decision to do this.
You're saying that like anyone disagrees with you. I think I agree. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
this was
everyone agrees.
yeah. Yeah, I wish that was quite rude. got rid of her, and Sun slaps her. Fair, fair response, I think. After having a heartfelt conversation while fishing with Bernard Nadler, the only other married man on the island, he forgives Sun, who assures him that the baby is his. Yeah, Jin goes off to fish, and Bernard comes up behind. He's like, "Hey, you going fishing? Can I come?"
Yeah.
Really
Boat
reading the room.
boat fishing too. Have we seen that before?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, Jin's really going, all in. He had to get off the island.
Yeah, and yeah, the boys just kind of talk about their freaking wives there. I mean, that really he
Bernard
says something like that, right? He's like,
Bernard's like, "Ah, do you realize we're the only two guys on this island with wives? Crazy."
"Women,
Bernard
we're
does
married to him."
Bernard does like everybody's treating Jin very weird about like to what degree they believe he speaks and understands English at this point because he's gone from like 0 to
Effectively
uh
understanding
he's
everything.
he's like a TOEFL like B level or something like that now. He could go to college. He could go to college in
Oh,
America
for sure.
with
Yeah.
his level at this point. Yeah. But Bernard like treats him the worst, I would say. Bernard's also doing the thing where he's kind of talking loud. Like as if that's the
Really? I
problem.
thought I thought I actually I didn't pick up on that at all, which maybe this says more about me than
No.
anything. But I thought he was like just like treating him as if he was totally fluent
It
and
kind of
like would really
goes
understand.
it
He's
kind of
kind of
goes
like
in and
old,
out.
so I thought he was like he just kind of talks loud.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. But he's doing like Bernard also does sign kind of like fake sign language at one point to Jin while Jin's facing the other way. Actually when they're like on the beach. He's like, "Hey Jin, you want to go fishing?" And does like a little
Yeah.
fishing rod
Yeah, that's true.
thing or something like that. Yeah.
Which, in Bernard's defense, I could see myself doing just like, I want to go fishing? Woo! To
That's
anybody,
true.
not,
Sure, sure, sure.
hey, bro,
Fair enough.
fish time. Uh, it'd be kind of crazy to assume that Bernard or that Jin can understand every other word on the island or in English except fish at this point. Like that's
Yeah.
probably kind of been like the main thing
Yeah.
that
He's doing a lot
he's
of
been
like
bringing to the table.
he's doing a lot of broken English on the unimportant parts. He's getting a lot of like he'll occasionally do like the big verbs and big nouns and
Hmm.
then you know skip out on those other parts of speech we all know in between. And then other times he'll like bust out some pretty complex sentence or whatever, you know.
He's able
Interesting.
to order his old fashioned sweet in the style of Wisconsin, very complexly exactly how he wants it before he gets behind the wheel of a vehicle.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I thought that Bernard's I forget the name of the actor who plays Bernard, but something just stood out to me about his face. He's got a good face for something. I don't know what else he's in, but he seems he could be a good desperate face. I'm not sure, but he starts talking about karma. He's like, "You know about karma, Jin?" Jin's like, "Do I know about
Do
karma?
I
Do
know
you
about
know about karma?"
karma? Yeah, like another that's definitely a good example of a word that they probably don't you probably don't hear very often, especially on the island at that point. And he's just like, "Yeah, I know karma."
Yeah. I'm just guessing Bernard isn't the guy introducing this concept to Jin. He might have run into it at some other point.
Karma? You think Jen ran into karma already?
Yes, because Bernard
But
he already knew it.
that's what I but that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody explained the concept of karma to him on the island in English. I'm sure he understands the concept, but where
You
who
think
ever
it's not called karma? I think that's the cognate.
yeah, but it's a cognate from, like, Hindi.
Yeah. So they're probably calling it karma in Korea. No?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Really?
I'll
All
I'll
right.
say I doubt it.
That's my mistake. Why would they come up with a different word?
I don't know. We don't not every country does cognates for every word.
Nevertheless, Bernard or Jin had it on lock, and then Bernard says Jin catches a fish. Bernard's like, "That's karma right there," and says like, "We're the good guys," something like that.
Yeah. Very disrespectful to Jin too when he catches the fish and he's like, yeah, he says like, "Wow, that's good karma." And he kind of acts like, "Wow, buddy, you just caught your first fish." Like
Yeah,
Jin's been Jin
he's
has been
literally
feeding
a
the island
professional.
for months. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go fishing? We're gonna go try to catch some fish. You want me to teach you how to fish? Yeah. On the Kahana, Desmond and Saeed are still waiting to speak to the captain of the freighter, Galt.
Yes. A big reveal. We've got
Huh.
libertarians now.
Yeah. Sir. Libertarians are entering the premises. When they are taken to see him, Regina jumps off the side of the ship, having wrapped herself in chains. Now, we see Regina a little bit before this. They're, Saeed and Desmond are, being led around the ship. We see her, or maybe like Frank just passes her in the hallway or something. But she's reading a book upside down in the hallway there. And the book is "The Survivors of the Chancellor" by Jules Verne. This is a book about the last voyage of the British ship Chancellor. In the novel, at the beginning of its voyage, the Chancellor carried 8 passengers and 20 crew members. By the end, only 11 people remained alive. In the story, several characters commit suicide, at least one of them by jumping off the raft and into the water. So, pretty clear A to B on that, I suppose. But yeah, Regina weighs herself down with chains and jumps off the side of the boat. Galt dismisses it as a heightened case of cabin fever and asserts that losing her is better than losing several more in saving her. He tells Saeed and Desmond that he is employed by Charles Widmore, Desmond's girlfriend's father, and later takes them into his cabin and tells them that Benjamin Linus faked the plane crash by expending tremendous resources in the process and procured 324 dead bodies to make everybody believe that all the passengers were dead. Galt proceeds by saying that this is one of the reasons why Mr. Widmore is keen on finding Benjamin Linus and the island. Because, it's like, if he could do that, then we gotta find him. Not a clear, like, logical step for me, but
Is this what happens in Atlas Shrugged? Do they
is
find that
what?
place? Well, John Galt is
Yeah.
the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got their little libertarian d
Like society thing.
dome society thing kinda
Mm-hmm.
hidden in the mountains or something like that, right? Do they find it? Did they have to find it? Or did it kind of exist at the beginning of the book?
They go make it, right?
Do they go make it? I'm just wondering I'm just
Never read it, actually.
John Galt, I'm just trying to
Connect
understand
why he's John Galt.
what the connections are. Are there connections? Yeah.
John Galt, like captain of industry, right? Like that's the characterization of the guy in the book. Let's see. An inventor who creates an efficient engine but abandons it in his factory.
Is there another
Uh,
Galt? Is there a Galt that's a philosopher? Because this is a now this is a fictional character, unlike
well, yeah.
John Locke. I'm just calling it out.
Galt disambiguation from Wikipedia. Uh, because it's spelled differently than John
Mm,
Galt character actually. So John Galt, the Anne Ryan character that we have just been talking about here, is Galt, and Captain Galt on the Kahana is Gault. And so it could not. There isn't necessarily a connection. I'm guessing it's a reference to John Galt, the character
mm,
there, and just sort of like because so he says something about like like this guy's paying us all this money to do this, so we're gonna do it. It's sort of like just like he lives by the coin there, and I think
sure.
that could be evidence for that. Um, Alternatively, according to Wikipedia, Galt is a clay formation around the southeast of England.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm.
It's stiff blue clay.
Why the fictional character? Is it just because the guy being, "Hello, my name is Captain Ayn Rand," would be a little too on the nose compared to
I mean,
John
John
Locke?
Galt is pretty on the nose. I think it's
Yeah,
just like the most famous character from that. So like,
sure,
I think that's all you need to do there.
sure. Okay. Hmm.
Maybe it's because libertarians don't have like a legitimate philosopher
Philosopher.
to to be able to pull. I don't know.
Nice.
Hey, my name is Captain Pete O'File. Where were we? All right.
I'm Jordan Peterson. I'm Captain Jordan Peterson.
So after the meeting between Desmond Said and Galt, Desmond Said are relocated to a different part of the ship by the Dr. Ray guy, who has now got a wound on his cheek. They open the door and they're like, all right, here's your new place. And it's like, got crawling with cockroaches and there's a big blood stain on the wall. And he's like, that isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah. The most like obvious suicide, a
Yeah.
gunshot
Mm-hmm.
stain. Yeah.
And so Ray calls over, hey, Johnson, get over here, clean this up. And there's a guy at the end of the hallway
Yeah.
with a mop. And he starts approaching. And then we see in the light, it's Michael Dawson. Working as a deckhand under the alias Kevin Johnson. End of episode. Yeah, I kind of I mentioned it Zoe. I kind of suspect Michael is the spy, but there he is. I guess we're not confirmed that he is the spy in this episode, but I think that
They
kind of makes it fall into place.
they do shake his hand before the end of the episode though, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of like, oh, nice to meet
That's
you, Kevin. They
that's
keep his
notable.
cover.
Yeah. They show you that Saeed and
Yeah.
Desmond are quite confused, but they go along with it and say nice to meet you, Kevin.
So Saeed knows Michael. Does Desmond hasn't met him, right?
But I thought that too, but then, like, Michael shot all those other people in the hatch, so I think they knew each other, at least in passing, right?
He's probably heard about him.
Well, why would they have not met, though? I think they
Were
would have
you talking
met by that.
about shooting Anna Lucia and Libby, or are you talking
Yeah,
about a different?
yeah.
Well, Desmond wasn't there for that.
No, he wasn't there for that, but he would have been taking shifts in the hatch.
Oh, gotcha. There's just overlap with that.
Yeah, with it overlap a significant amount of overlap timeline of them being
That's true. I guess I don't remember what Desmond
part
was
of the
really
same
doing
little
much in season
society.
2.
Well, he ran away for part of it.
Well,
Sure.
was maybe he gone for when Michael was around? I guess it doesn't really matter because like by the next episode, he's all caught up on who he is. But
Sure.
regardless, Saeed is definitely maintaining his cover, and possibly / probably Desmond is as well. They are. I'm liking the vibe of the ship, like the sort of like haunted, not actually haunted ship, but like everybody's going crazy on it. Like it's a good setup for it. Like, you know, just this listless, floating hellhole that just sucks out there. That's being, uh, ruled over by a tyrannical captain who's beating the fuck out of you if you look at him the wrong way, kind of thing. That's a good setup. Saeed and Desmond just being so chill about it is a little incongruent to me. Not like I kind of want them to be like a tiny bit more scared, but I guess it would kind of make sense that like maybe they're just the two coolest cucumbers of the bunch anyway. So
Sure.
they're both veterans, all right. They've been through some shit together, or not together, but individually. Notably, probably on opposite sides of various conflicts. All right. Let's see. Is there any other stray observations we want to make from this episode? Not really. I'm gonna give this episode a 3 out of 5.
Mm. I think it's a 4 for me.
I am just still in that hangover from the constant. I'm struggling. It's a season 4 or 3, if that makes sense. Like if this episode happened in the middle of season 3 or 2, I would have been like, this is a 5, you know. But like for this season, it's kind of like it's a solid entry, but I'm not like thrilled by it or something. I don't know.
Sure.
So that's what 3. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by us. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and checking out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. We now move into season 4, episode 8, Meet Kevin Johnson. Air date, March 20th, 2008, directed by Stephen Williams, written by Elizabeth Sarnoff and Brian K. Vaughan. I am now looking up Meet Joe Black. All right, that was a 1998 movie, so we've already seen that. That's already been in the mix. Really hoping that Michael might have a cool accent in this episode as a reference to Brad Pitt's character. Unfortunately, not so much. All right, I've got a couple of production notes to mention about this episode. I'm going to save one of them for the end, and the other one here. So we've got the 2007, 2008-ish the 2008 writers' strike that's going on here. So when negotiations broke down between the Guild and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, when those negotiations broke down in early December, Carlton Cuse, frequent writer and producer on the show, he boycotted his producing duties on this show until the strike was resolved. So shout out to Carlton for your solidarity. And the other note I want to say, critics and fans alike criticize the writer's seeming disregard for the lost timeline. Based on the actions and whereabouts of characters in the 3rd season, fans could deduce when parts of Michael's flashbacks occurred in relation to events on the island, and critics pointed out that the chronology was inconsistent with events in the 3rd season in an earlier episode of the same season. This episode's negative critiques on fan boards was highlighted by Lindelof as a reason why he avoids them, and said in defense of the script that, quote, it's television, end quote. Again, different time, I guess, when like you just get... I'm not mapping stuff out like that, man. I'm just going to watch the next episode. Calm down. So here we go. The episode's opening is set on December 26th, 2004, Boxing Day, right?
For those who celebrate, we salute you, whatever it is you're doing.
That is Boxing Day, right? The day after Christmas?
I guess so. Yeah.
Fine, I'll look it up. Yeah, it's celebrated after Christmas Day. Yeah, it's the second day of Christmastide, Ben. There you have it. So this is over 3 months after the crash of Oceanic 815. Saeed and Desmond are on the freighter Kahana, moored offshore of the island where the plane crashed. Really catching you up here. The freighter is owned by Charles Widmore, who is intent on extracting the other's leader, Ben Linus, for some purpose. We're not sure why. We seem to have some sort of indication that he wants to monetize the island somehow. Captain Galt stops 2 crew members from deserting the freighter in a raft. He publicly beats them and shouts that this is to save their lives, reminding the crew of what happened to George Minkowski and Brandon when they left the boat. The next morning, Saeed confronts Michael about his motivations, and the narrative shifts into an uninterrupted flashback of Michael's life after escaping from the island. So we get a little bit of an unconventional flashback setup here where it's kind of serving to fill us, the audience, in, but we can kind of take it as Michael is telling his story to Saeed in this moment, and it's being illustrated by this flashback. And the flashback is thus: Michael and his son Walt return to New York. Overcome with guilt, Michael confesses that he murdered Anna Lucia and Libby as a part of the rescue of Walt from the other's captivity. He tells that to Walt, presumably at some point on the boat. We don't actually see that, but we get that point across. Michael becomes estranged from Walt, goes to live with Michael's mother. Michael is haunted by apparitions and nightmares of Libby. Michael tries to kill himself twice, but is unsuccessful. The first one being getting into a pretty cool car, cranking the radio, and driving into a shipping container. Song by Mama Cass Elliot, same artist as the make your own kind of music from the Hatch. Forget what this one is. It's good a bit better, something like that. It's getting better. I think that's the song.
Yeah.
And the other time he tries to kill himself. Okay, he gets out. He gets into this crash. He goes to the hospital. He's got this note pinned to his note to Walt pinned to his shirt. He's in a neck brace, and then seems to recover very quickly. I guess we're not sure how much time passes, but Michael has definitely been beat to hell before, been in the hospital, and seemed to recover very quickly before, back in his first flashbacks, or in his life before the island, I should say. And this is another one. And so it's so he gets all better, and then furiously walks into the pawn shop, takes his watch off, and tells the guy, "Give me it's the watch that Jin gave him, right? It's Jin's Rolex, and it's got the Korean words on the back of it." And he sells his watch. He pawns his watch, and he tells the guy there that he wants a bullet, or he wants a gun with bullets in it. And I'm the guy who works the pawn shop who's like, all right, sure. It just gives it to him. Hey, if someone's looking pretty upset and wants a gun with bullets, just go ahead and trade a watch for it.
He looked concerned, and that's all he had to do.
Yeah.
He just had to show some concern and not act on it, but just show it.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Could write a strongly worded letter.
This is suspect, as he slides the gun across the table.
So he goes into the alleyway, and he's planning on blowing his head off, right? And then a shadowy figure says, "Hey man, you got the time?" And Michael's like, "No, I don't." And then he steps out of the shadows. He's confronted by Tom, the other who abducted Walt back on the boat back in the day. What the heck? We got an other on the mainland.
Yeah.
Mainland. Tom explains that Widmore staged the wreckage of Flight 815 found in the ocean and is determined to find the island. So we have possibly conflicting stories here. In the last summary I read, Captain Galt seemed to indicate to Saeed and Desmond that it is Ben Linus who staged the crash. But here we're seeing that Tom is telling Michael that it's Widmore who staged the crash.
Yes. Later, you've skipped ahead uh, out of the alleyway, but yes, he does say that.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, basically, yeah. Tom's like, all right, if you want answers, come and meet me at the penthouse, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And then he
so
goes home.
Michael goes home. He watches TV. He hears a news broadcaster like, hey, we found all 324 people on the bodies of everybody on Oceanic Flight 815. Everybody's dead. There you go. End of story. And Michael puts the gun to his head, pulls the trigger, and it jams, or it doesn't fire. I don't know what
Yeah.
the right word is, but something stopped the gun from firing.
I think
And
you
so
got
he
those
goes,
I think you got those flipped though. He tries to shoot himself and then he's going to do it again and
yes,
then he hears the thing. And then he
mm-hmm,
heads to the
the penthouse.
penthouse for the biggest reveal yet.
Careful viewers would have already known this, but yes, we get the reveal that Tom is on the mainland being gay.
Yeah. he's got a he's got a whole like Christmas style spread of treats on a table. He's got
He's like,
a
I like to indulge in
young guy.
pleasures of
He's
the
like
land.
yeah, he says like
Arturo, give us a minute.
Arturo, yeah. He's got a young Italian man by his side. Yeah. He says like I don't get I don't make it to the mainland very often, so when I do, I have to indulge.
Yeah.
Very, very funny.
hmm I think that so we if you may recall when they captured Kate back in season 2, she was like in the locker room and she's like accusing him of looking at her and he says, you're not my type anyway, kind of thing. People were like, well, he's obviously gay then.
Interesting.
hmm
Did not
And so that
catch that.
um there was one other thing. Apparently MC Gainey, the actor who plays Tom, this is very like from another time too, because he's like, after that, I started acting gayer. He didn't say that, but I tried to like bring that to my performance a little bit more. It's like, all right, I guess I like was just missing that. Like, were you thinking? You thought you were like doing stuff in a gay way this whole time? Like, I don't know how you were like bringing.
After the comment to Kate,
Yeah,
so he was like, wow, this has opened up a whole new door for my character.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I guess he flirts with Jack a little bit. That's another thing that somebody
When?
that apparently he does. I don't know.
Okay.
I missed it.
Hmm.
But yeah. But yeah, that's not the important part.
No.
Sorry. Tom explains to Michael that the island will not allow him to kill himself and tasks him with infiltrating the freighter Kahana to kill everyone on board. Ultimately, Michael agrees to this and boards the freighter from Fiji. He's getting on board. Like Naomi takes his name, greets him as the deckhand, and he boards. And then Miles is sitting there and says, "I know, Kevin's not your real name, but 80% of the people on this boat are lying about something." So he doesn't really pursue it any further. Michael becomes acquainted with the crew and hesitates to sabotage their mission until he finds Martin Keamy and his associates target practicing with machine guns. They're just out there. We got
Skeet shooting.
the big, yeah. He's got the big. We got the big veneer goon Keamy firing the at the clay pigeons or whatever out over the ocean. Michael's like, I thought we were here for a rescue mission. Keamy's like, don't you have something to mop? Gets them out of there.
Very rude.
Quite rude. So Michael takes that care package that was smuggled onto the boat from the others. He opens it up. It looks like a toolbox, but there's a false bottom, and then it's a bomb. He takes that bomb down into the engine room. He has a big he really has to work himself into doing this, but he finally enters the code and hits execute on it. He sees like an apparition of Libby telling him not to do it. He hears whispers, and he hears that song, that Mama Cass Elliot song that he played in the car when he was trying to kill himself. He presses execute. Bomb counts down from like 20 seconds, and then a little sign pops up. Instead of exploding, he takes it, unrolls it. There's a little note that says, "Not yet." It's a fake. Ben contacts Michael by radio, pretending to be Walt. George comes and gets him. He says, "Hey, some guy named Walt wants to talk to you." Michael goes and talks to him, and it's Michael. Or, no, it's Ben. Sorry, forgot everybody's name. Ben explains that the trick illustrated his stance against killing innocent people in his war against Widmore. The flashback ends, and Saeed, appalled by Michael's association with Ben, exposes his duplicity to Galt. He marches him straight into the office and says, "Hey, this is the guy who's been cutting off your communications. This is the guy who's sabotaging your engines. This is the guy who has been lying about his name, and he's working for Ben Linus." On the island, in the others' abandoned barracks, where some of the survivors have taken residence, Flight 815 survivor John Locke meets with his faction to discuss the freighter, and Ben reveals that Michael is spying for him there. Ben later urges his adopted daughter Alex to flee to the other sanctuary at the Temple for safety. She is accompanied by her biological mother Danielle Rousseau and her boyfriend Carl. On their way, Carl and Rousseau are shot dead by hidden assailants, and Alex surrenders. I had to look up. Was the actor who plays Carl, were the actors who plays Carl and Danielle, did they get DUIs before this episode? But this is what happened. After having appeared in 6 episodes of the 3rd season and the first 2 of the 4th season, Blake Bashoff, who's the actor who plays Carl, he was cast as Moritz Stiefel in the Broadway production of Spring Awakening. He warned Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse that he would be unable to shoot Lost for at least 6 months, beginning in December 2007, as he rehearsed and performed in the production. The producers then decided that the character would die.
It's a good way to put it. We've decided you will die.
Yeah. I don't know. This might be an unfair picture that I'm getting here. But it kind of seems, together with the information that we got from last episode and this here, that what kind of ship was Lindelof running over there? You know, like, was this, I demand complete loyalty. I demand complete good behavior. And if you screw up, you're out. If you explore other opportunities, you're out. I don't know. I mean, if you do look, if you were on Broadway for half a year, yeah, I get that. Like, you can't also be in Hawaii shooting this. So, like, I get that, like, they can be, scheduling conflicts there. So, but I'm just like, I'm picking up a vibe. That's all I'm saying. Nothing found on Rousseau. I think that was just, there to die. So yeah, that's Meet Kevin Johnson. I'm gonna give this another 3 out of 5 too. Still a good time.
This is a 4 for me. I like it.
Nice. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's a good show. I don't know. I don't really have anything too much to say about it. It was shocking. The shocking twist. Things are happening. That's a good thing. Like, even these sort of like episodes that aren't quite reaching the heights of The Constant or other things that are happening. Like, things are moving along. People are dying. etc. And it doesn't feel too cheap or just for shock. It seems like they've got a plan, so I gotta commend them for that.
Sure. Sure.
We're more than halfway through the season. There's 14 episodes of the season. We just finished episode 8. So next week we're watching season 4 episodes 9 and 10. We have 6 more episodes to watch. If you like the show and want to hear more from Ben and I, consider joining our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. We release a bonus hangout show every week, and that's what's going on over there. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time on Lost on Ice.